So, hi. Last week I was doing some work on Abe's little tea shop, and yeah, let me just show you how it went and tell you a bit about the ideas behind it. Let's go. So, there were actually a few different ideas going into the design for Abe's shop and the town of Milago as a whole. But it's mainly influenced by the secluded Mediterranean villages of southern France, northern Italy and Croatia. Not necessarily Mediterranean by the beach, but Mediterranean up in the mountains. The small town is full of narrow, densely packed multi-story houses with sun-baked terracotta facades growing out of ancient cobblestone streets. Abe's shop lies near the center of town, with a narrow door and large round window that looks out onto the bustling high street. At first I was playing with the idea of more of a Victorian-style storefront, with painted wooden facade and large rectangular windows, but while sketching I came up with this round design, which immediately felt very fitting to me. Not just because of its strong Hobbit vibes, but because the deep-set circular window, framed by rough brickwork, really matched the alpine setting I was aiming for. Anyway, the small shop occupies the entire ground floor of the building. Upstairs lies Abe's flat, with the kitchen and living area on the first floor and the bedrooms on the second. You can't really see that here, but this little sketch I did beforehand might give you a better idea. So far, most of the general ideas are very much in line with my previous videos, but since this is still a tremendous work in progress, I've revised and discarded many of my earlier ideas. For one, the whole idea of a library tucked away in a remote mountain village just felt a bit convoluted and out of proportion for an at its core ordinary character such as Abe. But nonetheless, I kept some of the basic ideas of Abe's backstory. So for now, Abe is not the son of the head librarian, but the son of the local innkeeper. As before, he was supposed to take over the family business, but chose to open his tea shop instead. Still, Abe grew up surrounded by books and stories, and although his father didn't have an entire library at his disposal, he still kept a respectable collection of books at the inn. The inn is also where Abe developed his passion for tea. You see, in many regions of this world, tea is an essential part of local culture and tradition. And such, it is customary for travelers to always carry tea from their home region with them. In Milago, this practice is not very common, and tea is mostly considered a remedy for the sick and the elderly. However, Abe and his father often sat down with the merchants and travelers who stayed at the inn, and in turn, they sometimes shared their native blend of tea with them. A typical sign of trust and respect among travelers. Fascinated by the exotic beverage, Abe decided to open his own store, and over time, tea from Abe's shop became a staple in many Milagi households. I feel like this simplified approach is much more fitting for the character, and is way more relatable than a story of a grand hidden library. Same goes for the town of Milago as a whole. Initially, it was this fantastic town perched high on a rocky cliff in the middle of a lake, and again, this just felt out of proportion for the story I have in mind. While the town is still located at a lake, it is now simply sitting on a rocky outcrop that is connected to the shore by an ancient stone bridge. As is typical for the region, all buildings have characteristic blue window shutters, blue window frames and blue painted doors, which is a testament to the many copper mines running through the mountains. Milago is a simple town located in a busy mountain pass, much frequented by travelers and merchants alike. But back to Abe's shop. The flags hanging in front of the window are actually rather atypical for Milago. This unique feature stems from Abe's wife Oda, who is not native to the mountains but comes from a city far off to the west. Typically, stores in Milago would have a copper sign, but for a long time Abe was not able to afford one. When meeting Oda, she came up with the flags instead, because those are very common where she's from. At first, there had been quite a few raised eyebrows, but over time the flags have become a defining feature of Abe's little tea shop. As a finishing touch, I drew in a few flower pots. Another example of Oda providing some flair to the store. And I also opted for a more segmented window because I think the smaller window panes look more realistic and better match the overall design of the shop. So this was me working on the design for Rabe's little tea shop. Let me know what you think about it, maybe in the comments below. Anyhow, that's all for this week. I hope to see you again next time, and until then, keep your whimsy, stay creative. Bye.